Greetings all you maniacs and minds and crimes. Welcome back to another Warframe weapon showcase. Well, actually, I've done a showcase for this weapon, the Kuva Drakgoon, but I decided to do a follow-up video quite a long time after the status changes because I forgot to do it. Anyway, so the Kuva Drakgoon. Now that all shotguns can proc status without having to have 100% status, this weapon has been improved and it's fantastic. So far I only have 3 form into it, and I'm not going to put any more form into it. This is the first build I'm going to be showing. I have a couple builds, but this is the one I mostly run. Your standard heat, viral, crit, even though this thing doesn't have a whole lot of crit, mostly because blunderbuss is trash. When we get prime blunderbuss, I hope this is at least like 130-140% critical chance. Because 90%, that's not a huge thing. I mean, Ravage went from 60% critical damage to 110% critical damage, so this is probably going to be like 140, 150. Anyway, for Orient Accelerant. So, you get this, I'm pretty sure, from Kayla to Thame. Either that or it's from the arena itself, but I'm pretty sure it's Kayla. Anyway, this is honestly a pretty freaking unique shotgun, and I will be doing a video on Protea later. So, the projectiles, they don't have any fall off. I think I explained this in my previous video on the Kuva Drakgoon. It's the only shotgun with no fall off, so this thing has as much range as the projectiles will go for. Which I'm not actually sure of the range on. Anyway. So, level 140 corrupted heavy gunners as standard. And yeah. This thing doesn't play. Don't worry, Protea has nothing on her. Yeah, this thing hits really freaking hard. Like, really, really hard. And you can fire it pretty quickly with the build I have. And since this is a shotgun, you can use Arcane Tempo to get even more fire rate. Or you can use Arcane Tempo and swap out Shotgun Spaz for like Vicious Spread. Vicious Spread has no effect on this weapon whatsoever, which I'll show in a second, but yeah. So that's heat viral. I'm just going to finish off the rest of these guys. Now this thing has a lot of slash damage, heat, viral combinations, very good. By the way, my Kuva Drakgoon is 53% toxin. So you could say, well, you might as well just go ahead and max it out or get a heat one. I'm not doing that for one reason. I hate Kuva Liches. They're not fun anymore because I've gone through so many trying to get the final ephemera, which is the cold ephemera, which I do not have. But anyway, Vicious Spread. So basically no noticeable difference. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but Blaze is such a goddamn fantastic mod. You get this from Nightmare missions, and it's only certain Nightmare missions, which is a little annoying, but you know, Blaze is a very powerful mod. It was always good, but now it's even better because of the way heat works and how shotguns work now. So what you could also do is swap out Blaze for Hunter munitions, and I will show you that. Now, here's the thing with Hunter munitions on this shotgun. The critical chance isn't great, but there are 22 pellets per shot. Hunter munitions has a 30% chance to apply a slash proc on a critical hit. So, the math, I'm not even going to try to do that in my head, but you're not going to, honestly, it works, but I think the heat viral is just so much more reliable. You are so reliant on RNG when it comes to Hunter munitions, but as you see, of course, it works very, very well if you want to ignore heat for some reason. I'll also show a corrosive build, And the corrosive build is the strongest against heavy gunners, because of course it is. You could also go straight toxin against Corpus, although the heat viral will work way better on Corpus in my experience, because this thing impact procs so often that their shields just get absolutely obliterated. That's right, people. Impact is a good freaking status type, especially against high level Corpus. Their shields are a problem. That's basically as fast as I can fire this. But yeah, it works very well if you want to build it that way. But, of course, you could also just slap Blaze back on, and then to get just put on Shell Shock instead of Frigid Blast, and then you'll have Heat and Corrosive. This is going to murk basically every single Grineer in the game and all of the infested. This is super anti-infested right now. You could also say, well, Viral, because of what it does, since it boosts the damage of like Impact, Puncture, and Slash, yes, it works on every single one, not just Slash. People tend to forget that. You could say, well, Heat Viral is going to work against everything, and you're kind of right. But high-level infested, they kind of don't care about getting hit with viral. Of course, I'm talking really high level infested. But yeah. Also, yeah, you can see this just munches through them super quickly. Is this a good mag weapon? I'll show it with mag in a second because it's kind of weird. I'd say it's not a very good mag weapon. You're better off with a Super Vandal, but anyway. So that's the Heat and Corrosive. Personally, I just run Heat and Viral. There are so many ways you can build this weapon. You could basically do whatever you want. You could also say, well, ignore the dual stats and then just put in like the 90 mods. I would advise against that. Simply because when you up this status chance, you're upping your damage basically. So, yeah. Anyway, now to show it with mag. So, does it work with mag? Well, I told you it's weird. It doesn't work very well. Because simply the projectiles move way too fast and they do not last forever like the Super Vandal does. So, $100K. So it doesn't work that great with mag, to be honest. Now, with someone like, oh, you want to see memes? Someone with like Banshee who can do this kind of shit. Banshee players already know what's gonna happen. Yeah. Of course, this is Banshee we're talking about. She has some of the most ridiculous boosting damage in the game, other than like Mirage. But yeah. Now, do the projectiles bouncing off the wall actually come back and do damage? It appears they don't. To enemies that they've already penetrated. So, let me actually try and test that. No, they don't. Well, it's kind of hard to test because it doesn't go through all of them. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is doing it. I don't know. But that's not something you really should focus on too much with the Kuva Drakgoon. Anyway, this weapon is very good. It is very, very good. It's very, very powerful. And it has a lot of advantages that other shotguns don't. Namely, the shots ricochet around and can hit multiple targets a lot easier. It has innate punch through, so you don't have to put on something like Seeking Fury, you can if you want. This will give you way more punch through and some reload speed, which is nice. Whenever we get a prime version of this, it's going to be fantastic. Although we need prime blunderbuss first. Anyway, it you don't have to be in the enemy's face. If you're using the charge shots, you might as well use this thing kind of like a medium range weapon, because it pretty much is. And the projectiles move fast. Like, the projectiles move pretty damn fast. And of course, I have to pull out Zephyr, who I don't ever see, even though she's a very good frame, but no one ever uses her. With her Jetstream augment. And the projectiles move even faster. So let me actually just deactivate it. So without the projectiles, they move that fast. Well, without Jetstream, and then with Jetstream, yeah, it's really fast. And here's the thing with projectile speed, it actually makes this thing have way more range. Some people tend to forget that. If you have like a Jetstream Zephyr and you have a shotgun with a set amount of range, you're actually increasing the range of the weapon. So, again, why isn't Zephyr used? She's a very powerful frame. She's so good. And not just for her Jetstream augment, just all around. Anyway, I'll talk about Zephyr eventually and why I think she's a very underrated frame. So, shotgun spaz, frail momentum. If this was like 120% fire rate, I would use this. But since it's exactly the same as shotgun spaz, there's no point. Even though you really do not lose much damage, like, at all. Like, that's negligible, because how do these, like, minus 15% damage work? It takes off from, like, prime point blank, or on rifles, it takes off from serration. So basically nothing. So, you could also put on Arcane Tempo. If you have this maxed, it will be on critical hit 15% chance for 90% fire rate for 12 seconds. You put this on, if it's maxed, by the way, I think this comes from the first Eidolon, so it's not too difficult to get your hands on. Then you can actually just get rid of shotgun spaz if you're completely fine with the 15% chance. If you're using someone like Harrow, which, let's be real, let's actually do it for fun before I end this video. Be using someone like Harrow, the crits are basically guaranteed. So, oh, I didn't unpause the AI, and I have to make myself invincible because they will murder me. Okay, so whenever we get Harrow Prime, I hope he comes with some changes. So, like this, it is perfectly capable of one-shotting, but I mean, you can just do that way easier as Banshee. But also, like this, you are really, really fast with the fire rate. So, yeah. And of course, I'd show it with Mirage, but I have to be in the light, so I'm just going to try to do it anyway. The problem with the Simulacrum is that you can't easily get in the light. So yeah, with Mirage, I mean, it's just a wall of shrapnel. And it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. Gonna bleed out? No, I'm just gonna... So yeah, of course with Mirage it's going to be very, very effective. Of course there's also the cap buffs. So with the Smita Kavat you will be getting basically guaranteed orange crits, which will make this thing incredibly powerful. And with our dots book about, you'll be getting 60% additive after critical chance, so you'll be basically guaranteed crits at that point. So, the Kuva Drakgoon, it's so much better than it used to be. No longer do you need 100% status. No longer do you need 4 damn dual stat mods, which held this weapon back. Anyway, this weapon is fantastic. I really, really do enjoy it. It's one of the most satisfying and easy to use shotguns in the game. There's no weirdness about it. You kind of got to get to the rhythm of spamming charge shots, but once you're able to do that, it's like super easy. It's pretty ammo efficient. It's no Kuva Comb. It's not going to be as powerful as the Kuva Comb. If you're looking for something that's going to be as strong as the Kuva Comb, not possible. That thing is probably, no, definitely the strongest shotgun in the game. One of the strongest primaries in the game. Easily. It just rips through everything. So does this. So, long-winded video over. Next upload will be more Spyro 3 Reignited. Because this isn't a strict Warframe channel, I'm going to be doing other things. But when hard mode comes out for Warframe, I am going to be mostly testing some weapons there. Hopefully they tune down the freaking enemies, because I've heard down the grapevine that the enemies are so overtuned. Kind of reminds me of the boarding parties in older Eljack. Oh my god. The tankiness was ridiculous on those dudes. Anyway, something I also didn't mention, if you can strip armor, it's going to do more damage. Emperor's Fireball augment, Saren's 1 augment, all that. If you're going for a radiation build for some reason, which honestly isn't that bad of an idea against Grineer, then Oberon's 1 augment, blah blah blah. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, in Droby, we trust.